To say that I'm so happy to be doing this video is quite an understatement. It has been over 2 months since I've been able to film down here, and my arm is on the mend. We're doing much better. I have clearance to do full mobility, but if you're interested in how that process is going, I have some separate videos for that. But I appreciate all of the well wishes and support that I have gotten, and hopefully we can move on from this and just get back to the fun stuff. So we are going to be down in the freeze dryer today. This is the first cycle that I have gotten to be a part of, really. It's been challenging to get down the stairs, obviously a little afraid to do things down here just for fear of re-injuring or falling down the steps or anything like that. So this is an exciting video for myself, but nothing too unusual for you as the viewer. We did run the freeze dryer while I was healing. Brad did a lot of that, so we did some things that we have like large stock on from grocery trips. Of course, we did lots of fruit and some casseroles, tuna and spaghetti, and our new item that we had done, which I really intended on making a separate video, but it just did not work out, were some mushrooms. We had some baby bells that we had from the store, but we also got the opportunity to go morel hunting, and that was really fun. It was cool to, you know, help and show Philson how to identify those mushrooms, and it was not the easiest picking. We probably found 4 or 5 on our adventures out for a few hours, but it was a nice day and a fun family activity. If you've not done that, I encourage you to look up things in your area. The time is probably past now for any areas unless you're like super north, but so we did continue, of course, doing our freeze drying. And for anybody that is new to freeze drying, if you're going to leave your unit on, you do need to run it and not have it sit for long periods of time without running a cycle. So we kind of kept to that to make sure. I can't remember the exact amount of times that we used it, but we did not want to turn it off, mostly just to keep things going. But today we have a little bit different of a schedule, as I did not do any of the pre-videoing of what this food looked like. I did take some pictures before, so maybe I'll snap those in here if I can with some descriptions of what everything is, and of course we will be taking things out to show what they look like and hopefully do some taste tests of some stuff. There are several new items going in, and just 2 things that we've done before, and there's some scattered trays, so we have a variety of things coming out, and I can't wait to show you them. We'll go ahead and move over to the freeze dryer, get the drain valve open the door, get the food out, and I really am looking forward to showing you all that we have done in the cycle today. We got everything out, and I went ahead and turned our unit off because everything does look done and feels good. So if I have any issues with that, we'll kind of play it by ear. But let's go over the food items that we do have. So our new true standby is our tuna noodle casserole. That's become a huge favorite of ours recently. At the top, out of frame here, we have cinnamon apples. These are Granny Smith apples. And on our last 2 trays, I am super excited, of course, because these are brand new items. You see, everything is very, very light, is exactly how you want it. But right here, these leaves are basil. So we had quite a load of basil that we were given, tried to use as much as we could for, you know, cooking and things like that, and I wanted to set some aside to try. We also have beets sliced up here, and sugar snap peas and dill. So we'll go a little bit more in depth on each item as we are packaging it, so let's do that next step now. The first tray we're going to do is our sugar snap peas and dill. I have been working diligently to try to make sure that we are using sustainable packaging as often as we can, and of course, since we're using, you know, canning jars, they have the rubber gasket, which definitely is necessary. My little pop top lids that I was using in previous videos, in the easiest and most straightforward way, they suck. So they do not keep out air as well as I was expecting, especially since they do have the gasket on. So we're moving back to our tried and true things, and yeah, so I'm going to be putting the sugar snap peas in our larger jar and our dill in the small one. Of course, no oxygen absorber. We're going to be using these hopefully to snack on. Hopefully it's all delicious. And of course, our dill for baking. We do a lot of dill things in the summer on salads, and tzatziki sauce for Greek meals, you name it. It's good in a lot of things. It really dresses food very nicely and gives it just that summer taste. So speaking of taste, let's do some taste tests. We'll start with the snap peas. I love snap peas in fresh form, so wow. Very crunchy, very good. Delicious. I'm going to try one of our salted ones. I only did a small section of it, obviously, because I didn't know how well the salt would adhere during the process, and I see a lot of salt on the tray and not so much on the snap peas. So we'll try to get one that has some on it. I know I haven't figured out the autofocus quite so well, so there's just a little bit on there. It adds a really nice flavor to it. You just get that natural sweet taste from the sweet pea and a little bit of salt. These would be a fabulous snack in place of a chip. Truly, they really would. These were blanched for about 2 minutes maybe, and then put in cold water and put directly onto the tray. I didn't pat them off, especially the ones for salting, because I wanted to make sure that had something to adhere. So those were delicious. I'm not sure, like, weight wise how many we did. It probably would have been equivalent to like a bag that you would get at the store, but since these came from our vegetable supplier, they are delicious. I would say to make sure, obviously, since a farm is where we're getting these from, like they're just plucking and bagging, of course washing, but some of them have the little tops on, so I was sure to make sure to remove those. And I'm just going to mix the salted ones. It doesn't give a different flavor, just kind of adds a nice little punch of tanginess. So these are incredible. I am so glad that we tried these this time. There are sugar snap peas, some with salt, and I'm sure they'll kind of all mix in there. But delicious, a very good snack. I'm not sure if Philson will love these. He did try some in a fresh state, and he loves peas, but I'm not sure how much he loves the pod. So these are very good. I am very happy with the way this turned out. We have a smaller jar for our dill here, and it's just so nice and light and fluffy. That is beautiful. So I'll try a little sprig. Like really concentrated dill flavor. So exactly what I expected to happen. So that's great. I'm just going to get it in this jar, keep it over the tray because the stuff is so fluffy. I tried to de-stem these as much as possible. There's no harm in having the stem in there at all. I don't know how much I'll be able to get in here. I don't really want to get too much salt mixed in with this, but this will be just super helpful. This was probably several bunches of dill at the beginning of the process, so it shrunk down quite nicely. So we have one tray down. Let's look at our next one. So like I said, I've been kind of hoarding jars and lids that have gaskets in it. I don't know if you can tell, but like this lid's rubber around the inside of it. So I'm hoping that this gives us a better outcome over our other ones that I was talking about. So on here we have our beets and our basil leaves. Now, I am not a beet lover by any means, so I'm really hoping that this tastes good, and if not, we can always crush it into a powder and put it in smoothies and other things like that. Beets are fabulous for you. They're blood cleaners. It's something that I really want to like and find a way to enjoy. I have lots of friends who can just eat them out of a container and it's great, and that's not me. So let's taste it and see. They're a very thin little chip. I use the food processor to slice them, especially because they stain everything. So they're not terrible. They still have a little bit of the dirt flavor. I don't think I'm ever going to lose that. Let's try another one. I could do it. Maybe with some other things. So let's get these packaged up. This was probably about, I think this was 3 beets. Not big ones, so you can see kind of how it stained the parchment. I did blanch these again, just like the snap peas, probably about 2 minutes, and just kind of patted them dry. The smell and flavor of beets just like really gets in me. So they're good. I can do it. So there are our beets that we did, and we'll see how that goes. And our basil now. I love basil. It's so good, and it just smells so nice. When I smell a good piece of basil, it makes me think of a nice pizza and Italian and just wonderful things that I do love. So this is pretty exciting. This was probably several bunches of basil. I just wanted to give it a try. We have a lot of basil still, so I truly do love to use it fresh. But this is going to have, you know, just as good flavor. I mean, I'm not concerned by that. We didn't do enough to do like any amount of pesto or, you know, big baking with it. It's more just kind of to add the recipes. Like this amount you could probably add to some tomato sauce for spaghetti, or just some little flair on your plate or recipe. But it smells very nice. Probably not as strong as if it was fresh, because I think just all that moisture probably really helps pull it in. So that was a perfect fit without crushing everything. So our basil freeze-dried for the first time. And here's what the tray looks like from the beets. I'm glad I put the parchment down, and it did a really good job of keeping it on. Some stuff actually does bleed through, so I can't believe those didn't. But we'll move on to our final 2 trays of the items that we have done so many times. Our old standby is, of course, our cinnamon apples. We still love these a lot. I've not done Granny Smith, I don't think so. Very good. Oh, tangy all of a sudden. Wow. that gets you right at the back of the mouth. I mean, they are good, but definitely different than all of the other apples. Obviously, I'm sure everybody out there has had Granny Smith apples, and you already know the tangy factor of them. I was almost expecting it to be a little bit more on the sweet side, but yummy, yummy. I will say that I see a difference in how quickly moisture is being taken back into this. This is, of course, my first video doing and packaging since summer has officially started. And obviously we had warm weather before that, but humidity is much higher. We also have had thunderstorms rolling through often, so that makes some moisture increases happen. But that is definitely something to keep in mind for yourself. I am not too concerned for this factor because we eat these pretty quickly, and on top of that, if you have fruits or vegetables that do start to take on moisture, you can use them for cooking instead of just snacking in a raw, freeze-dried state. Other things I got packaged up pretty quickly. Of course, when we get to the tuna, I'll be putting oxygen absorbers in there. That should help alleviate any moisture that would have been slightly taken on while we've been doing this. But I am doing this pretty quickly, even though, you know, we're going through things. I'm not spending a lot of individual time on things while we're doing, because it is so humid out. Our final tray here, our tuna noodle casserole. It's the same recipe we've been using for a few times now. It is very good, and it's pretty basic though. So if you're interested in recipes, let me know and I can pass them along. But we'll get this packaged. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 smaller packages for this. I think the last couple times we maybe did larger packages, and just to have a couple individual ones on hand, that's what I was kind of hoping for. So if this doesn't fit in just 2, we'll do a 3rd one and kind of go from there. My handwriting is getting back to where it was, but we're not quite there. I can't really support my arm by itself without assistance. So we'll be there in no time. Alright, and then, alright, and then after we have them in, I do like to weigh them. I had some questions on YouTube from people of why to weigh. It's mostly because since we're not super comfortable with the idea of kind of the water liquid amount to start with for rehydration, I do sneak on the internet and try to get an idea of what a large company, a manufacturer, does, and that kind of helped us with our first taste test of doing the spaghetti. We kind of started off with a baseline amount based on how many grams of dry product we had versus what we were wanting to make. So we started off with that. Brad probably thought we could use less water. I thought it was probably perfect. Maybe I like more sauce in my spaghetti than he does. But it's just kind of an easier find. Like if we were out somewhere and didn't have access to a scale, you're just kind of eyeballing. It could be a lot of guesswork at that point and taste testing. So at least if you have a baseline of what to go off of, if I was doing 200 grams in a bag, then I would know, you know, quick math based on information we could find on the internet about how much. And yes, different noodles take on different amounts of water, different amounts of meat, all of that. So, you know, it's still a guessing game for us at this point, but it just takes a little bit of the work out. So we'll get these packaged up as evenly as we can. We might have to do a little dump and go if we have to switch to a 3rd bag in addition. So I might be breaking these up in a little bit more smaller pieces to make them fit better, but all in all, it's very tuna fish smelling, which is obviously the meal. Like I said, oxygen absorbers will be going in as a reminder. If you're doing this for the first time, you want to put your oxygen absorber in last. Obviously, unless you would be taking this food out of this to make it, it wouldn't matter because you'd be dumping it out. But if you plan on cooking your food, like rehydrating it in water in this packaging, do yourself a favor, put it in last, because then you don't have to dump it out. That, and see where we go from there. All right. Okay, so we got everything into the 2 bags. I'm not sure on the weight differences, but if they're not the same, that's okay. I will just document the differences on the bags. Ooh. 214 is our first one. 250. So that's all right though. We're just gonna stick with that. And yes, the bag does add some weight, but I'm not too worried about the small amount that it adds to it. Like I said, we kind of just use it as a suggestion of place to start. Okay, let's get this out of here. Down, and we will get our oxygen absorbers out. This is a brand new bag that I'm opening this time, so we know that they'll be nice and fresh. And I'm just going to open it just a tad. Don't want to do it more than we need to. 1 and 2. I'll push them back down to the bottom, and we'll go ahead and get the impulse sealer out and get these packaged up. I went ahead and plugged in our impulse sealer. We'll go ahead and reseal our oxygen absorbers first. That's pretty much the important part. So we're on level 5 on here, and we'll get this. I'm gonna try to get as far away from the oxygen absorber since we'll be in this bag multiple more times. With this arm. And it looks good. So I have another bag that it was in that I'll be putting it inside of, just to ensure that everything is deoxygenated as much as possible. And we will move on to our bags. Changing the level from a 5 to around a 7/8 for these larger bags. Other questions that I've gotten are, I don't have an impulse sealer. What do I do? Because I don't know, maybe not every kit of freeze dryer with Harvest Right comes with one of these, or you can buy things individually. That part I'm not sure. You could use a hair straightener. I have not done that yet, so I'm not sure like what setting. It's definitely something that I'd probably practice on a empty bag, or just like on a section of it first before going all out. Of course, the biggest difference that you're going to see is instead of it being just a small line across, it would be the whole section that you are heating up. So with the straightener, I guess if you didn't have a lot of product, like if this was the bag that you're working with and your product of food was only down here and your straightener was very long, you could maybe clamp it across so you'd have open bits up here and it would just do a section. But ultimately, like, I would probably just go across the top like that, just like if you were sealing a Ziploc bag or whatever. So in this case, this has been working out really well. I've been doing the doubles. I'll probably stick with that. It just makes me feel a little bit better. I think before I was more comfortable with this, I probably, when I was having issues, I probably didn't have it on the right setting. I wish I could go back and see that side of it, but I can only see this side and not the dial itself. So we've got our bag here. So it has the little notch on there. I normally do the bottom notch first and then do the top. I always do a little quick visual, and looks good. And the notch, as usual, it is not anything that you have to stay away from. It's more of convenience, but for us, since we are doing 2 of them above and below, the notch doesn't mean anything for us. So we're pretty good. A little crooked on my part. My tactility is not exactly where it should be. So we're getting there though. food. Our oxygen absorber is in there. Make sure the food is clear of the area that you are doing here. And our second one. And there are our 2 seals. They look very good. A funny story of, while we're kind of cleaning up here, while I was told to steer clear of coming downstairs for a bit, just for staying away from hazardous things, because obviously being my dominant arm, I couldn't go down the stairs with the railing. So when Brad was doing the freeze drying by himself, he would watch the videos as a guide of how to do each step, which made me, of course, feel great that I gave him the knowledge and ability to do this on his own. But like I've said, not downplaying his skills of doing this. It is a very simple process. It can be time consuming, obviously, until you get a feel for how long things take. You might have to kind of be a little bit more involved with watching like its process as it goes through. Sometimes it'll say it's done, and sometimes things need a little bit more time. But overall, it has been a very pleasant experience. I've had people say, you know, this is a really expensive item. I don't know if I can justify the cost, and I 100% get that. This has been a really cool thing to have. We're probably not using it to its extent. Like, we don't have chickens or anything. If you have eggs, that would be fantastic for the winter. If you had a really thriving garden, we don't have that this year so far. It's just been really challenging with work schedules for Brad, and of course me breaking my arm, that doesn't help. So it's been a little bit different of a year for us. So I've been trying to find other ways to get us those fresh food, that fresh food access through the CSA and our local farmers and things like that, so we can not miss out on things that we hopefully would have had. So if you are somebody who grows a lot and thinks that you could benefit from a machine like this in the summer season for winter, this is worth it. Obviously, you don't know what will happen in the future. Yeah, if electricity prices keep going up and things like that, this might be kind of hard if you are cut out or are on one of those blackouts that, you know, we keep hearing about across the country. Once again, this might be something that's not the best unless you have access to solar. So all things to think about. For us, it's been a nice convenience and, of course, a really cool adventure to do all of this with. Thanks again for watching Better Than I Deserve. If you liked the video today and you'd like to see more and be notified when videos are set to premiere or post, just click subscribe and I'll put a link in. And if you haven't watched how our freeze drying adventure has gone up until this point, you can find a link, I'm sure I'll put right here, about how that has gone and our playlist and videos of how the foods turned out. So until then, I hope that you're having a great day and we will see you in the next video. Bye!